Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Oilers Nation After Dark. Connor Halley with you here. We appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Sorry it took a little bit longer to get going, but if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, Facebook as well. If you're on Twitter, give it a like also, maybe a retweet, tell a friend. And thank you again for tuning in tonight on the show. We will be joined by Zach Lang of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff, as well as our producer, Aaron Bordato, as per usual. Of course, we'll have the good, the bad, the oily, and Zach Ling actually had a piece come out, I believe just yesterday, about the Northlands Coliseum, and maybe it's Rexall, maybe it's Skyreach, depending on what era you went to the games. We want to talk about that later on in the show as well, some of your favorite moments, but first, we'll break down exactly what happened tonight as the Edmonton Oilers take on the top team in the NHL, the Boston Bruins, a record of 45-8-5 going into this one, and the Boston Bruins would pick up the victory. You guys all know that. How it all happened, well, we'll get to that very quickly here. Before we get to the good, the bad, and the oily, Connor McDavid scored his 49th goal of the season only 2 minutes into the hockey game. Great start for the Edmonton Oilers. A beautiful pass from Leon Draisaitl behind his own net. I said on Twitter, it'd be great if an Oilers defenseman could make that pass. Wink, wink. Only 13 seconds later, though, Thomas Nosek would score for the Boston Bruins, making it a 1-1 game. Nick Foligno would make it 2-1. Connor McDavid, after a great effort from Klim Kostin, would get his 50th goal of the season. I mean, what he's been able to do this year, we probably shouldn't even put a limit on the amount of goals he can score because he's been absolutely on fire. It's his fourth straight game with 2 goals. The guy is tearing it up. Unfortunately for the Oilers, Pavel Zacha would get his 14th goal of the season, and that is how the game would end. A couple late penalties for the Oilers in this one, just shooting themselves in the foot. Small penalties and put them in a 5-on-3 situation. Vinny Desharnais with the lumberjack, and we'll get to that later on here. But first, let's get to the good, the bad, the oily, brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance. Cornerstone Insurance Brokers, Edmonton's premier boutique insurance brokerage with over 90 years of success and still growing. Visit cornerstoneins.ca/nation to get an online tenant or condo insurance quote in just a few minutes and use discount code NATION for an exclusive rate. Find out why Cornerstone Insurance Brokers are ranked amongst the best in Alberta. And for the good, the bad, the oily, we bring in our friend Zach Lang. You can get his work at Oilers Nation, Daily Faceoff. Zach, good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Connor, I'm doing pretty good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, all things considered, when you look at this Boston Bruins team, sans Taylor Hall, who flew back to Boston with the lower body injury, pretty good performance by the Oilers, keeping it close. And we heard about this being a measuring stick sort of game going up against Boston. And I mean, I guess we'll see again when they meet again shortly here. But all in all, a good night. We'll start off with the good, as we always do here, the good, the bad, the oily, and kind of what I just said. They stuck with it. Kept it competitive, didn't look too out of place against a very good Boston Bruins team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the best thing that you can kind of pull away from this game besides Connor McDavid going nuclear once again. An incredible 2-goal performance and 50 goals, but we'll be talking about that a little bit more in depth right away here. But as a whole, I was really impressed with that performance from the Oilers. I mean, this is a really, really good Boston Bruins team over here. They're the top team in the league, rather, for a reason. And I think the Oilers showed tonight that they can hang with the big boys.
100%. I mean, that's a really good sign. You need to see that effort more often. I mean, you go back to that game against Columbus, and the Oilers could have won that game, and I think we'd still be disappointed with how it all came to be. Tonight, they lose the game, but, showing that you can hang around with Boston, that's a good sign because we know the Oilers at the Leafs, they've got the Bruins again, the Jets on back-to-back nights. I mean, they're going to be tougher hockey games, so a good sign if the Oilers do elevate their game against the opponent. You just need to see that consistency against some of the lower teams in the standings. We get to the bad here, and Zach, we kind of agreed on this one in our little chat beforehand, the little things. And, you go back to that first goal, and Darnell Nurse wraps it around. Vinny Desharnais can't corral the puck, and mayhem ensues. A quick play away there on the second goal for Foligno there. Brett Kulak, on a 2-on-1. Maybe a bit of an error there because Connor McDavid was back on the back check, but also a lot of people will point out that Leon Draisaitl a little slow getting back defensively. But it just seemed like there was just small things. And even at the end of the game, carelessness, I'll say, by Klim Kostin, unfortunate play, and then Vinny Desharnais with the second penalty. He tries to take Jake DeBrusk off with him. Didn't happen. But just little mistakes, and I'll throw out to what some of the people are saying here in the chat. Ryan and Safe, Yamamoto. I mean, opportunities to score, but just missing it. Just little things not going right for the Oilers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of sort of a death by a thousand cuts sort of situation. You look, as you mentioned, the Nurse mistake on the first goal, and then Klim Kostin not really back checking down hard to the goal to kind of cover his man there. The Brett Kulak one was a real head scratcher for me because he saw Connor McDavid taking that step over to the side already to take the puck carrier, leaving Nick Foligno all alone in front. And you know what they say? You just cannot leave a guy like Nick Foligno all alone in front of your net, right? I mean, they say something like that at least. It was a frustrating sort of situation for both of those goals, right? And then the third goal, it was kind of a self-inflicted wound of sort by Stuart Skinner because he's the one who kind of poke checked at the puck, and Pavel Zacha was able to kind of ramp it in off of him and into the net. In the same breath, Cody Ceci losing a puck battle in front of the net. You don't love that either.
Yeah. I mean, I had someone on Twitter mention, well, Darnell Nurse out at the blue line. It's like, yeah, he was following his man who had the puck. We can't blame everything on Darnell Nurse. There's going to be opportunities, but not all the time. And yeah, those little mistakes, they add up and accumulate to a loss for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sure some coachable moments for Jay Woodcroft when they watch the film tomorrow. Well, let's get to the Oily here, and let's go with some positivity. It's like a compliment sandwich: the good, the bad, and now back to the good. Connor McDavid, 50 goals on the season, and I mean, what can you say about this guy? He's doing it all sorts of ways. The game against Columbus, I believe, he had the slap shot goal, which we didn't know he had in the repertoire until maybe this year. He's just showing once again that he's clearly the best player in the NHL and in the world.
Yeah, and it's not even particularly close at this point in time. Gone are any conversations about anybody being in the same stratosphere really as him right now. No disrespect to the other players or the other elite stars in the game, but God, Connor, like this guy is just head and shoulders above, better than everybody else, right? Kind of coming into this game, I was like, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if some of the big guys kind of had a quieter night. Like, this is a Boston team that'll really kind of choke you out. They're one of the strongest defensive teams in the entire league, right? And man, look at what Connor did. Like, he was all over the game all night long. He had 2 goals. He had 4, 5, 6 shots, something like that. Like, he was everywhere, and he was impactful on all surfaces, all spots of the ice. Just looking at some of the post-game quotes that are kind of coming out right now, some of the players talking about it feeling like a playoff game, and it really felt like that. And we saw last year what happened in the playoffs, and Connor McDavid elevated his game to a level that we had never seen before. And it really kind of felt like, tonight he kind of hit that spot again, or at least got pretty close to it.
Yeah, exactly. Another guy who popped off the screen a couple of times for me was Matthias Janmark. I don't know if you noticed that at all, but there's a few times where I'm like, okay, this guy's flying around, and it's very hit and miss with him. But I saw him pop off a couple of times. I mean, Kailer Yamamoto is another one. Tough night for him. Great opportunities to bury it. Tough penalty. I mean, it's a lot of things happen in that game, and the chat's going crazy here on Facebook. Yamo with 2 misses. WTF, trade him already. That's from Bassam. And we can't just trade away all the problems here as much as you'd like to. It could happen, and it could clear up some cap space. But I mean, I don't know how quickly it will happen. On YouTube, there's 58. Hopefully, we'll get up to 60 people soon. Make sure you hit that like button. Lance says, I thought Draisaitl played bad myself. Well, compared to Draisaitl standards, I mean, he, as Yaremchuk told us, they spoke of the All-Star game, and he said that about himself. But yeah, Kailer Yamamoto getting a lot of, I don't want to say hate, but a lot of people pointing out that maybe not his strongest game, but he was in there. He was getting opportunities, which I don't know. If he was scoring a lot this year and then not bearing it now, I might be a little more down on him, but he's getting opportunities. So maybe there's a little reason for optimism, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's a good thing to see any players getting those chances. I think if you're getting chances around the net the way that a guy like Yamamoto was tonight, that's a good sign. Of course, you got to capitalize and bear down and find a way to bury those ones too, right? I'm not really in love with the usage of Kailer Yamamoto right now. You take a look at 5-on-5. played the fourth most minutes of any Oilers player, third most of any Oilers forward. I didn't even really think he had that good of a night whatsoever. It's a little frustrating when you look down the lineup sheet and see guys like, Jesse Puljujärvi, 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Derek Ryan, 6:31. Klim Kostin, 8:13. Like how many times have we sat here and listened to, people who cover the team or the fans or people, lambasting a guy like Jesse Puljujärvi for those mistakes that Kyler Yamamoto was making tonight. And for Yamamoto, he kind of gets rewarded with more ice time, whereas a guy like Puljujärvi just gets buried further down the lineup. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Yamamoto's a guy who's really needs to step his game up here. Like, he's been injured this year. He's had a couple of concussions. That is a really tough thing for any player to work through. But we're getting to the point of the season where, we need guys like Yamamoto to be burying those chances. Like, those are difference makers, right? Like that first one, 9 minutes into the game, if that goes in, all of a sudden you got a 2-1 lead, and now the entire rest of the hockey game is different for you, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I'll say that, like, if you're playing in the top 6, you have to bury those opportunities, or you shouldn't be playing there. It's a tough reality. The toughest thing to do in the NHL is score goals, and if you're not going to finish those opportunities, maybe you don't deserve to be up there. And we'll see what Jay Woodcroft comes out with. You're right, Kyler Yamamoto just under 20 minutes, and then there's a few guys, Derek Ryan, Puljujärvi, Kostin, like you said, single digits. Maybe not ideal. On the defensive side, Philip Broberg, the minimal tonight, 9 minutes, 5 seconds. Darnell Nurse, 24 minutes. So, yeah, kind of the usual. Cody Ceci up around 21 minutes. Ryan on Facebook says Yamo is being shopped, probably with more ice time. Now, Zach, I'll ask you this one, because I hear that all the time. We're showcasing him. At the NHL, at this point in their career, do we not know enough? Like, I mean, if Kyler Yamamoto goes out there and scores a goal tonight on one of those opportunities, how much does it actually boost his trade value? Like, we've seen him in the league for a couple of years already. We know who he is. We know what he is, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think if a GM's out there watching this game or somebody scouting this game, they're, probably saying, oh, man, it would have been nice to see him kind of bury those ones. But, hey, again, he's getting those chances in the first place. So, it must mean that he's doing something right out there. I don't really think that they're necessarily showcasing him. Like, Yamamoto's been in the Oilers' top 6 since he's been back from injury, right? So I don't know if I necessarily think that they were, trying to showcase him or go out of their way to do that tonight.
Lance on YouTube, Zach telling the truth. Like your little rundown there on Kyler Yamamoto. QF Pro says I would be very sad to see Yam leave. And we also had Rogan. Hey, Nation, Zach and Connor. Hello, Rogan. Thank you for watching tonight. Here's one, because you mentioned Darnell Nurse on the first goal. Whipped it around to Vinny Desharnais, bounced over him. And I think it was Klim Kostin was, not goal side of his designated player, perhaps. Greg says, so no mention of Nurse, but he threw the puck around the boards for a giveaway, then placed himself out of position for the Bruins' first goal and way out of position for the Bruins' second goal. He cost the Oilers this game. Give the guy the criticism he deserves. Well, Greg, Darnell Nurse gets criticism for every game. No matter what he does, he gets criticized for everything. The first goal, yeah, I mean, he kind of blindly whipped it around. As we mentioned, I mean, Zach, you did say it was a bad play by him, so you gave him some criticism. Maybe I didn't give him as much. I'm hoping that Vinny Desharnais can corral that puck at the NHL level. Was unable to, but then it was more defensive breakdowns after that. Would you jump to say that was all Darnell Nurse?
No, I don't think it's all Darnell Nurse. I mean, there's a million little things that happen on the ice where you could lay the blame at any given player for any given thing, right? If you can equally turn and say, oh, it was on Klim Kostin because he didn't break down hard enough in the defensive zone to the net to cover his man the way that he was supposed to, right? I think they both kind of share equal amount of blame on that one.
And then on the second goal, I mean, that was Brett Kulak and Tyson Barrie. So that wasn't Darnell Nurse.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like I said before, that was a boneheaded play by Brett Kulak, right? I mean, you know that you've got Nick Foligno on your right side here. You've got Connor McDavid in front of you. let Connor take the puck carrier, go get the guy who's behind you when you know you don't have anybody else there. Definite lapse of judgment there from Brett Kulak.
It's like sometimes people just want to blame Darnell Nurse, so they'll just see a 5 instead of a 7 and throw it on him. And then on the last goal, the game winner, yeah, I mean he was out by the blue line, but you watch it, he was on his man and followed him out there. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're playing a loose zone coverage and Darnell Nurse made the wrong read, but I don't know.
But again, on that, like, I don't know if anybody deserves the blame fully on that one, right? I mean, it was kind of a fluky play. Like, Skinner went to poke check it and the puck just kind of rode up his stick and passed him, right? Like, if anything, you say, oh, maybe Cody Ceci because he didn't win the puck battle in front of the net sort of thing. But again, he kind of did. So it was just kind of a weird one, right?
100%. Yeah, that was a weird one. I joked that Zaka wanted it more. Just got a little more of a reach in there.
Exactly.
And you know what? I think safe on Facebook, sorry if I mispronounce your name, the problem is our D and forwards don't communicate. I see that popping up all the time. So I would totally agree with that one. A lot of people here in the YouTube chat, even Cato says Connor screwed up that 2-on-1 in my point of view. I mean, he kind of designated his guy and Kulak went the same way. It wasn't great. So I mean, a lot of people here saying Connor McDavid was the guy who messed up on that 2-on-1. So it's torn. I guess it's your opinion, and we're all entitled. Okay, so from what I've been told, we got a lot of people talking armchair GM in the chat here. So Zach, trade deadline, we are not going to do the math. 48, 96. We're getting close. Friday afternoon. Right now, we're seeing a lot of teams out east making a lot of moves. Now, what does Ken Holland need to do to counter it? I mean, Ekholm is a name that has been very popular during my day job. A lot of people seem to like that. Chychrun was a name that was out there for a long time. Who do you think would be a target here? And if you're on the chat right now, let us know. Who do you think would be a target? And, we'll take it a step further. What do you think the Oilers need to do to make it happen? Who needs to be on the way out?
Well, for me at this point in time, I'm kind of in the same spot that I've been all along. My preference is Jacob Chychrun on the left side. He's younger. He's a better skater. He's got a friendlier contract. And I think he's a guy that can really help this Oilers team. Maybe he's not the most defensively staunch player, but he really excels in retrieving the puck and getting it up the ice, and that's been a huge issue for this team. Mattias Ekholm, I mean, that would be one heck of a consolation prize, right, Connor?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like that trade happens, then in a couple of years, people rip Ken Holland for making it because of the term on his deal, but that would just be the way it is. If it helps his team win a Stanley Cup, then 100%, no one's going to be too upset about it. But that would be one. A lot of people in the chat bringing up Max Domi. That's a guy I really like. I'm a huge fan of Max Domi, and I think he thrives playing in an environment that would be as crazy as it would be in Edmonton during the playoffs. I think he'd be a nice option, but Chychrun would be fantastic. I think the one that we, dream about, fantasize about, Erik Karlsson. When I saw Leon Draisaitl make that pass to Connor McDavid, like that's what I tweeted. Like, imagine if the Oilers had a defenseman who could make this outlet pass. How nice would that be? And just forcing opposing teams to be aware of that. Maybe it opens up something kind of underneath, or the opportunity to carry it out, but just knowing that someone's capable of making those types of plays would be certainly nice to see. Looking on the chat here, I mean, for the most part, it's kind of the same names. Domi, Ekholm. Rogan says Rusty. They got the chat going between themselves. I'd love to see Erik Karlsson, but don't think he's coming to Oil Country. Rusty, yes. Armchair GM is this chat's favorite hobby. I think it has to be right now. It has to be. And I've said for the last little while on this show that, I mean, I don't mind what has happened so far. Like, I'm not going to rip Ken Holland for not making the moves so far, but he's got to do something. He has to go out there and bring additions to this team. He can't sit back and just let nothing happen. There's still guys available, but I mean, there's got to be a little urgency here to do something to improve this team.
There does. Like, there absolutely has to be some urgency. You look at the Saturday game, Connor McDavid takes that game over against the worst team in the NHL, second worst team in the NHL, call them whatever you want. And the Oilers didn't really get any run support around McDavid on Saturday, right? And then you watch him here tonight, and it's like the same thing again. It's like just bloody brilliance from this guy. Like every time you watch him, he does something else with the puck or something else on the ice that just leaves you jaw dropped. Like I don't know how the Oilers aren't. I don't want to say they're like not making moves or anything like that because they're working the phones, but you're sitting here watching teams out east getting better and better and better. Look at Toronto. Now, granted, they've got a lot more LTIR space than the Oilers have, and with the way things are with Jake Muzzin and Matt Murray, that freed up a lot of money for them, right? But in the same breath, they're trading away every pick in the cupboard to try and win a Stanley Cup this year. Look at Tampa Bay. They've traded away every goddamn pick they have for the next 27 years for guys like Tanner Jeannot to play on their third line. Like, it's difficult, I think, to sit here as an Oilers fan and feel super confident and excited when, you're hearing Ken Holland making comments before the game, as he did on Oilers Plus, about, our trade deadline acquisition is Evander Kane. It's like, well, no, it's not. Like, I referenced a tweet that I made in early January where, I said, I can't wait for the Oilers to activate Evander Kane from the LTIR, calling him their big deadline acquisition while they go and pick up a third pairing defenseman who gets caved in and a fourth liner who plays 6 games. And, in one sense of the term, it almost feels like that's where we're heading again. And it's like, well, what are we actually doing here? Because, we're in year 8 of Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl 2 years after this away from free agency. McDavid's 3 years away from free agency. Like, we got to win a cup. Like, they got to win a cup here. If you're not doing everything you can and moving, pretty much every asset out the door you can, like, I don't know what we're doing here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like I said, I've held off on the criticism for now, but if they swing and miss and don't acquire anyone or, bring in someone who's not going to make an impact, feel free, go after him because he will have underachieved. The one thing that is kind of funny right now when you look at the playoff picture, especially out east. So in the Metro, Carolina currently in first place, Jersey and the Rangers would meet in the playoffs. So 2 teams that would have gone down and made big moves. One's gone first round. In the Atlantic, same thing. Boston looks like they're going to run away with that. So that means Toronto and Tampa will meet. 2 teams that made acquisitions and gave up a lot of assets, bounced in the first round. So it's kind of, we're going to look back at that and say, man, sucks for them. But also, credit to those GMs knowing that what they have on the schedule. Like, we got to load up this team. We got a tough first round matchup. The Edmonton Oilers should be in that exact same position and adding whatever they can. Truculence is what I want to see from this team.
100%, Connor. Like, I totally agree with you. Like, what moves are teams in the West making right now? Oh, Colorado went and got Jack Johnson to be their 8th defenseman and, be a glue guy in the room. Oh, Vegas went and got Ivan Barbashev. Like, he's going to come in and be a difference maker. Like, no. Like, are they, is Barbashev a nice little piece? He absolutely is. But he's not setting Vegas over the top or separating them from the pack, Like Nino Niederreiter, I like that move for Winnipeg quite a bit, actually. But again, that's not that's not going to be a massively impactful trade. You're kind of working around the fringes of your top 6 and top 9 there, right? Whereas the Oilers have an opportunity to go get a guy like Ekholm or go get a guy like Chychrun who can come in and play 22, 23 minutes a night. You'll take Darnell Nurse down from 28 minutes down to like 25.
Yeah.
And like that's going to be huge for him. Like, it's going to be huge. And a guy like Brett Kulak, like, he can still play. And if he's, into like a third line role, again, that's not the worst thing in the world for him either, right? At the end of the day, like, it's tough to see the Oilers adding on the back end without subtracting, because I think a lot of these guys have done really well. And I think to a certain extent, everybody's kind of got a role on this defense right now. But again, I keep coming back to a guy like Ekholm because, he really adds that defensive element that the Oilers need. He's like the 2-in-1 almost. Like, he's like your I almost feel like he's your mix between like a mix between like a Joel Edmondson and a Jacob Chychrun, right? Where like Ekholm's kind of got some of that mean defenseman to him, but he's also very efficient at retrieving the puck and getting it out of the zone, which is something the Oilers really need help in too.
And in the last 10 years, 75 games played in the playoffs, right? Has that experience. We know it ticks up a little bit, but a guy who's been a mainstay in the playoffs. And I really like your point there, because I've also said this, having someone that could come in and just alleviate some of the pressure from Darnell Nurse. Oftentimes, I will reference the NFL and my LA Chargers and Austin Eckler, the running backs. Like, let's get someone in here who can take away some of the burden for me, give me less hits. I wonder if Darnell Nurse has that in the back of his mind. Like, hey, wouldn't it be great to have someone who can, eat some of my minutes, and then maybe I can be used more efficiently, or whatever it might be in situations I'm not necessarily the strongest at. It would be nice to see, and I think that would be a good move to see. Ekholm is a name, certainly, and Preds are sellers. We're starting to get Parayko thrown out there. Some people meeting that with little uncertainty, don't like the way he's played this year. I think everyone's probably just in agreement that Ken Holland needs to do something. Looking at the standings, so I guess, if you want to be the optimist tonight, I know that's usually Rusty's thing, but I'll jump in here. No ground lost in the standings. The Vegas Golden Knights, they fall to the Colorado Avalanche 3-0. So with that, the Oilers do maintain the third and final spot in the Pacific. The wild card spot still open. They have 72 points, Vegas at 76, and the LA Kings at 74. The wild card looking like Winnipeg and Seattle with 71 and 70, and then Calgary hot on the trail, 66 points. So I had someone mention the Florida Panthers. They've been a huge disappointment out east. 65 points, 64 points. They're only 3 points back of the last wild card spot. I don't know if they're going to be sellers, Zach. I mean, they've got to have that internal belief that they can still contend and get into the wild card spot, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where their mindset is. Like they're not going to be taking the foot off the gas anytime here soon. Even though they've kind of sold a lot of their farm on some deals that really haven't turned out for them. They made a big move to acquire Matt Tkachuk, and I think as long as they have him there, they're going to be a team consistently trying to go for it.
Yeah, 100%. YouTube, Steven says, tell your Chargers to get their own stadium. JK, by the way, kind of. Well, hey, man, just keep the lights on for us. We'll keep paying rent, and we'll live in perfect harmony. If you are on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. I'm actually going to do so myself right now. Don't want to be a hypocrite. Back to it. Reckless optimism forever, says Rusty, the reckless optimist. Yeah, 100%. You got to believe. We need that positivity. Updated statistics on the season. Connor McDavid now up to 50 goals on the season, combined with his 65 assists. That's 115 points. Leon Draisaitl holding it down to second. He's got his 36 goals, 53 assists for 89 points. And for the Edmonton Oilers now, they turn their attention to Wednesday against the Maple Leafs. And it's going to be a fun one. Austin Matthews, the Leafs, Mitch Marner, they're in town. We know the crowd will be a lot of Leafs fans out there, and it should be a good one. Aaron, producer Aaron, do you want to join us now here in the chat? Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Well, we're doing good. We got a cat. We got Aaron. Okay, so got to mention very quickly here, because I think that it's all booked up, but the Nation Vacation going out to Toronto, March 10th to 12th, and the Oilers will take on the Leafs. You'll be up in a box. If you want to go, check out nationgear.ca. There might be a couple spots open, but if not, maybe next time. Just want to make sure we mention that that vacation powered by AMA Travel. Check them out online on Twitter at AMA Travel and Instagram AMA_travel because they do great work. My fiance was actually on the website tonight looking at potential honeymoon destinations. So that's a true story. She loves the AMA Travel. Okay, also, Betway. Did you guys bet the over tonight or under? Or did you bet on it at all?
I stayed away from the Oilers game tonight. My only bet of the day was taking the over on Max Domi's shot prop. This Oilers game scared me. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't really feel good laying any money down. I probably would have leaned to the under for sure. Just looking at some of the defensive numbers both these teams have put up the last little while here. But what about you, Aaron? Did you lay anything down tonight?
Just like you, I did not feel confident this evening. So I decided to stay away and avoid everything at all costs, because the weekend was not so nice to me in my Betway account. Let's leave it at that.
See, we all should have taken McDavid 2 goals because he was 2 away from 50.
It's a
He
lot.
got there. We did our predictions. Now, Aaron, you were working the Bears game. Shout out to the Bears for knocking off UBC. Zach, you were on the call. You guys were down at the Drake for that one. But we did our predictions, and I made the first ever prediction of an Oilers loss. I want to say I said 3-2, but that could just be like revisionist memory, and I'm trying to be correct here. Anyways, we brought you in here, Aaron, because I wanted to ask all of us this question. Now, Zach, up at OilersNation.ca, you did an awesome article, and you got a chance to walk through the Coliseum one more time, right? The announcement that it's going to be torn down. So you and a few others got a chance to walk through. So my question to both of you, and go check out that article, by the way, up at Oilers Nation. What is your favorite memory from the old barn? For you guys are younger than me, so we might have some different ones here, but favorite memory, starting with you, Zach.
So my favorite personal memory is actually my only memory that I have at Rexall Place, because that's what it was to me. I was only there for one event ever, and it was actually a Blink-182 concert. And I
Nice.
got my nose broken in the mosh pit before Blink even came on. They had Rancid opening up, and there was
Nice.
these two twin brothers who were like, I don't know, 6'8". They were just giants out there, and they were moshing, and they bumped into each other, and the one fell back, and the guy, his head snapped back and broke my nose. So that concert was pretty cool. But my favorite Oilers memory, it's got to be like the 06 Cup run, right? Like, just being a fan, watching those games at home on the TV, hearing, the anthems being sung, like, just such incredible times there. And I think another great one too would probably be like Ryan Smith's last game, right? I think that's one that is near and dear to a lot of Oilers fans.
Yeah, that's a tough question, Connor, because there's so many good memories. So, if I had to narrow it down, I guess like Zach said, my first ever concert was the Foo Fighters at Rexall.
Nice.
So that was
Nice.
a pretty damn good first concert to experience. But that's on the side. So I would go maybe in general, my favorite memories would have to be Nail Yakupov sliding across the ice. That's one of my favorite visuals in Oilers history. It's unreal. You could maybe Sam Gagner. You could anything. I just got to say, I was such a fan as a little kid when they had the whole oil rig go down and kickstart my hard play, and they come out, and that was just the OG entrance. And maybe because I was little, but I thought that was the coolest back then. So I'd probably go with the oil rig and that whole entrance. What about you?
Yeah. I could go on. Like, my first concert I saw was the Red Hot Chili Peppers there. Yeah, I got to go in the Coca-Cola box suite, so that was a great time. The Oil Kings winning over Portland and bringing out Christian Pelch's jersey was a great memory. Gretzky retirement night, I was there for that one, but probably the most fun I had in Game 6 Stanley Cup Finals against the Hurricanes. We were standing row only, very top. So as soon as a goal was scored, we could not see anything. It was just blocked out by fans in front of us standing up. But the atmosphere there, like, we had just turned 18. So, we were having a good time. The Rexall beers. Did you guys – well, Aaron, you had to have a Rexall beer, right? Don't tell me you missed out.
Yes, the heroin beers. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I told Zach to try and steal the pipes.
I tried. I honestly did. I jumped behind the bar, but they were like, hey, whoa, no, you got to get out from there. I was like, I just need one more beer.
Did you get one, Zach, or was your nose broke before?
No, I was too young.
Oh, man.
I was still like, how old was I? I was like 15.
Oh, man.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I was a little guy at the time.
I feel bad. I that I laughed. Like, you were a minor. Yeah, Jesus.
I know. I should have got somebody to buy me one and snuck one down onto the floor for me.
Yeah. Well, I swear one night we had some, they tasted like Skittles. It was unbelievable. Like, we slammed them, went right back to the next concession. Like, we got to get more of these. Different. It was just, ruined. But let us know in the chat, what was your favorite memory from the old Coliseum? Someone says Ozzy Osbourne at the old Sky Suites. Great time. Dave Grohl is the best. Yeah. Confirmed oil rig was legit. 2 people saying that. Lance and Gonzo. Yeah. Tyson as well. I mean, you struck a chord there, Aaron, with the oil rig. When it would come down, it was awesome. Like it got you amped up for that one.
It has a special place in my heart.
Good times. It's gonna be sad when it goes down, but yeah, better to have loved and lost than never have loved at all. I think that's a great way to wrap this one up. I love that we've got lots of people just coming in here saying Oilers defense sucks and everything like that. Keep that passion going. We'll take it. All right. Well, before we get going here, again, Cornerstone Insurance. Check them out. CornerstoneINS.ca. We got Betway, 19 plus, bet responsibly, and AMA Travel. Check them out if you're planning a vacation. They take care of everything. Oilers get the Leafs on Wednesday at 6 p.m. start. So if you're going to the game, get there a little bit early. We got to accommodate for the center of the hockey universe. Zach, give me one prediction for the score and one for Betway.
I'm going to say McDavid scores 2 goals again. That will be 5 consecutive, I think it will be. I mean, I kind of was quietly hoping that he would score goal 50 against Toronto. Like, could you imagine? Like, that would have been just so cool, right? I think it would have been pretty special. And I think it would have made Leafs fans' head explode. Any chance we have to make their minds blow up just a little bit, I will take it every single time. But I think the Oilers are going to have a good game. I do. I think they got to carry this energy that they had tonight, playing against Boston into a game like, the one Wednesday against Toronto. It's a winnable game for them. I'm predicting a 4-2 Oilers win.
As for me, I don't know how confident I am as a whole, but I am confident that whatever the line is, you take the over on Wednesday. That is my lock. I mean, I don't really want to see him get back in the net, but the idea of the Campbell, revenge game, and if he was in there, the over is definitely hitting. So I'm going to go with that. Ride that. We're to bet the under. And hey, you know what? We'll parlay Oilers money line as well.
I kind of joked with people. That's like if it's Stuart Skinner, he doesn't seem to get as much goal support. Take the under. You get Campbell out there, you take the over. I don't know what the odds are, but yeah. I'm going to take a 5-3 Oilers win. Throw an empty netter in there. Maybe McDavid second of the game to hit that one. And I don't know. Let's just take a wild card. Darnell Nurse anytime goal and try to put some good vibes out in there in the universe. Before we go, got to quickly get to some of these predictions. Joey, the backup optimist, is 3-0 Oilers. Lance says McDavid gets 60 against Toronto. A nice quick 10-goal one. F says 4-2 Oilers. Wishful thinking. Dr. Gonzo, like for a win over the Leafs. Steven, Oilers win 4-1, and a couple more concerts that people went to. Smashing Pumpkins, their Indefinite Sadness Sewer, my first concert from Ash. Gerald says Eagles 1977, and Ewan. I'll miss Rexall. Over on Facebook, Kaladi, God, I'm going to butcher all your names. I'm sorry. It says 4-3 Oil. Dino, like me, 5-3. Oilers can't defend till you take the over. And one last one here from John. We'll wrap it up with this one. Can you buy seats from Rexall? I've seen people that have seats from Rexall. I have no idea how they get them.
Yeah,
no,
you can't
anymore.
So it was a limited time thing only for season ticket holders. There's a bunch of seats left over at the Coliseum right now, but they're all destined for the landfill.
Jeez, that's too bad. A landfill.
Don't we have 2 seats in the office?
Yeah, those are Jared Sharp's.
Yeah.
I'm going to find this landfill. Dig them up. Sell them on the black market.
Let's go, chat. Go to the landfill. Bring in trouble.
We'll meet you all there. All right, guys. A lot of fun tonight here on Oilers Nation After Dark. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button as we wrap up. On Facebook, do the same thing. If you want to go out there and retweet us, that's great. Also, share it on social media. We'll pump up those numbers. On behalf of Zach Lang, Aaron Bordato, and myself, Connor Halley, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And we'll talk to you on Wednesday after the Oilers hopefully defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs.